Thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all manner of lesser-known characters have entered the limelight, including the Guardians of the Galaxy. And Marvel, being a company that puts out millions of video games, I think you know where this is headed. The next game in my Marvel replay marathon is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This was the second game produced by Square Enix from their deal with Marvel, following the widely hated Avengers game. Having just replayed that game that was universally panned, I'm here today to replay one that is universally beloved. But it's not so straightforward this time. I usually approach these videos as a mix between something like a Let's Play and retrospective, but after replaying this game, I unfortunately came to the same conclusion I did the first time I played through it some years ago, and it is probably one of my biggest hot takes in the world of Marvel games. I think it's boring and so much worse than it should have been. So instead of doing things how I normally do, I'm taking more of a presentative stance with this because I was truly bored throughout my entire playthrough. In order to share my thoughts and not make everyone so outwardly enraged at some guy having a different opinion on them than a video game, let's go through each element of the game so I can really narrow down why this game just doesn't do it for me. To start, so that I may make peace with the very small fan base this game has, let's not forget that it was a commercial flop after the failure of the Avengers game, let's talk about this game's story, which I and most others believe to be the best part of it. In Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, we experience one of the early adventures of the newly formed Guardians from the perspective of Star-Lord, trying desperately to bring the team together as they are threatened with arrest by the Nova Corps, one of whom might be the child of Star-Lord, scam dangerous warlords to earn some extra cash, and accidentally release untold power that an evil space cult uses to siphon the life energy out of the universe. Oh, that's not good. Despite taking a lot of inspiration from the MCU that got these characters to the point they'd get their own big-budget video game, it fortunately doesn't go all the way with it. Sure, the team itself is very much inspired by their movie counterparts, including talking a lot. Like, a lot, as in, they talk so much it gets annoying a lot of the time, it makes it very hard to commentate this game, but you also get a lot of non-MCU things, like Mantis and Adam Warlock being much more like their comic counterparts, and some deeper cut characters fleshing out the galaxy they guard, including Ruby Thursday, the Wendigo, and an important boss fight against Fin Fang Foom. It's a game that features a pretty standard story overall. I don't think it does anything particularly groundbreaking or new or better than other video game stories. At the very least, it is marked by very strong characterization. It's also cool that the interactions you have can change slightly depending on the choices you make throughout the game. In Eidos Montreal's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, you get to choose dialogue options and make other decisions throughout the game that will impact the story. It's a nice feature for a game as linear as this to occasionally give you some options on how to approach situations, and can make the cutscenes more engaging since you have to participate to some extent. The problem is, the choices don't really change the game all that much. You might get some slightly different dialogue, and portions of a level might be slightly different here and there, but none of your choices have significant consequences. There aren't even multiple endings, although your choices do have impacts on the final mission, mostly stuff in the background or like making a combat section easier. He's gonna kill all the people, thank you. Well, some of them, I guess. If it were a purely linear game, that's fine with me. But if you're going to throw in these story decisions, why not have some actual consequences, you know? It's not like a Telltale game that's released in an episodic format, meaning each episode kinda has to start and end in relatively the same place. This is an entire package through and through. So the fact that there aren't severe changes to what happens throughout the game just makes it feel so much less than it could have been. Plenty of games have been able to pull this off with much less money behind it than a famous publisher like Square Enix or brand like Marvel. By the way, there actually is a Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game, but even less people played that. I haven't played it myself, and I heard it wasn't very good, but at least in this game, there is some more to do, like combat and exploration. As the title implies, you have a whole galaxy to guard, except most of the time you don't. That's something that comes from the movies, the fact that these characters don't really do much heroics until the galaxy really needs them to, but all their swashbuckling does lead them to some very well-designed and creative planets. There are some truly striking worlds you visit throughout the game, and if I had to give props to this game for anything else besides the story, I would say that the art direction overall is great. But because it is a linear game, there really isn't that much to explore. You will spend most of the time walking in straight lines, curving lines, or just a Wow, they got me. I was trolled. Drax gave an exuberant laugh. Even though there are points where you have to solve a really quick puzzle to get past an obstacle, there's essentially no room to actually explore these wonderfully odd planets. It's extremely restrictive even for what you'd expect out of a linear story-driven game, and I feel like it holds the game back from delivering the kind of space exploration people really want out of a game like this. To be fair, you do have the occasional diagonal line to the normal straight path you follow to go off and pick up some unlockable content. But every time you do so, the characters start yelling at you, and I get that it's a joke, but every single time you go off the beaten path, they just do not shut up. Uh-oh. Oh, wait, no! I don't know, I didn't mean to do that. And what's also strange to me about this is that you do get the opportunity to deeply explore a single region in the game, and that's nowhere. Maybe it's because this is an area with more diplomatic life forms on it, and shops and stores and whatever, but it does make me wonder why no other part of the game is given this much freedom to explore. It all just feels like a missed opportunity with all these cool planets and creatures they've created here. I don't even have to be living out in space to know that that was a scam. We've lost so many galactic units. My gosh. Among the types of unlockable content you come across include alternate costumes for your characters. It's a staple of superhero video games, as these characters have a bajillion designs over the years, but the cool thing about this game is that they actually give credit to its creators. More games, movies, shows, etc. should do that, since they're all taking from the works of others. I'm mainly talking about like Marvel comic book stuff here. You can also find lore items that help flesh out the relationships between individual characters. It's a nice way of getting to know them more if you somehow couldn't fully understand every minute detail about them from the constant inundation of dialogue, but it's still a nice thing to have, just not in New Game Plus. For whatever reason, as I played through this in New Game Plus, since I played it before, I couldn't collect these items again, so I just didn't get any of that dialogue. Feels like a massive oversight for a game so focused on storytelling. The last kind of thing you can collect has not to do with the story, but gameplay. And these are items for upgrading, of which there are a lot scattered throughout the entire game. But it is weird how many resources are available to pick up because there are so little upgrades in the game. There are only 15 perks for Star-Lord, as well as a few upgrade abilities for the other characters, and that's it for the entire game. Again, it's more of a linear, story-driven game. But if we get all these customization options and choices, and the game is loaded to the brim with materials to find, why is the upgrade system so minuscule? Even the upgrades you get only improve minor things. There's nothing game-changing about it. All of this leads me to what I believe is the worst part of the game, and I think even the die-hard fans of this game will agree with me on this, which is the combat system. When you're not experiencing the story or exploring planets, you gotta fight bad guys. After all, this spacefaring adventure with richly designed characters wielding all sorts of varied powers and abilities against crazy extraterrestrial entities has to mean we get some crazy cool combat, right? The combat in this game, to put it bluntly, is bad. As you may have picked up on, you can only play as Star-Lord in this game. This is a Guardians of the Galaxy game. There is no excuse that you can only play as one member. You do get to issue commands to the other characters, but each command in combat is just staggering an enemy, stunning them, which is pretty much the same thing, or just hitting a bunch at once. You cycle through all of them with zero thought behind it. As for Star-Lord himself, all you do is run around the big arenas in a circle, auto-locking enemies and holding down the fire button until they're dead. You can swap elements to match the very limited enemy types who still function basically the same, with elemental changes that function basically the same to deal with them. You can punch them if you're bored, or do a glitchy takedown animation if it pops up above their head. Yeah, I think I'm stuck in this wall. At least this switches up the combat to some degree. I'm still doing the exact same thing. I'm just walking around holding down the button. I'm just inside a wall now. You can also rally all your characters together, give them inspiring words, and have some copyrighted 70s and 80s music play while things get even easier. But I'll admit that that part is pretty cool.
You see the look on their faces when they see you razoring down from on high?
That's a very natural thing for a person to say.
I know. Never thought I'd
Groot
see
doesn't
you.
have much of a reaction to that either. What are our options here? Stay focused and the fun will continue, or we're pros. We've proven it 100 times before this.
Come on, guys.
Now I'll go with that one.
You're not the first ones to try us, and they won't be the last.
Oh, yeah.
There's been 1,000 before them, and they've all found out fast. Guardians don't break.
Mm-hmm.
But we do seem to be taking a break.
Oh, my God.
Because,
How is that?
who's with me?
How is that the wrong choice? What are we talking about? There's no ammo management since you have infinite ammo. You never have to worry about positioning because enemies, even on harder difficulties, don't pose a challenge. There's no command strategy with the other characters. You also don't have to worry about like aiming or anything like that since it just auto locks on. All this simplicity would be fine if there was any level of catharsis to offset it, right? There are plenty of simple games out there that give you a big sense of like haptic feedback or visceral animation or anything to make it feel more intense than it actually is, right? There are a lot of games out there that make it feel cool. This is not one of those games. Not only is it super simple, but the combat just falls extremely flat, and it's so much less than it could have been. Oh my gosh, time to press the triangle button instead of the fire button. I shot fire at him though, and it still worked. Can I do anything? Did we get him? No, we got him. I was just kind of running around aimlessly for so long, but we finally did it. Good job, classic Guardians.
We stand triumphant.
Oh yeah,
Whom has fallen?
nice. To be fair to this game, another thing that I can give it props for are the very, very, very few spaceship combat encounters. And by very few, I mean there's only like 3 in the entire game. There's no upgrading, there's no real sort of skill, I guess, behind it, but there is more to it than the actual combat in the game in terms of like having to pilot around, try not to die. You still are just kind of holding down the button, but you do need to aim. And, you know, we're out here flying in space. This is really cool. I wish there was more depth behind this and it happened more frequently, but that would require this game to have more thought put into its combat and its space exploration and its customization and all these other very important aspects of the game that it doesn't really seem too concerned with. Now you can complain that I'm asking this game to do too much, but of all the things I've complained about here, the fact that in this video game, a thing that you play, you can't even do something like play as all the Guardians of the Galaxy in a Guardians of the Galaxy game, and the things you can do with just Star-Lord are so limited, just feel inexcusable. There are so many other video games out there that feature all the Guardians as playable characters and even have a multiplayer component to it. And even to compare this to the Avengers game that everybody hates, at least all of the Avengers are fully playable with a ton of different combat maneuvers, and you could play that with other people too. Let me use a very recent example with Guardians of the Galaxy stuff to make my point here. Marvel Rivals. Not only is this game free to play, not only is it multiplayer, and not only does it feature the Guardians as playable characters, but each of the characters has more mechanical depth and things to do than the entirety of this focused single-player, full-priced experience where you can only play as one character. To illustrate my point here, I've actually booted up a custom game in Marvel Rivals. We are on Clintar, planet of the symbiotes. We got the Sword of Null. We got the big Phoenix egg thing. It's breaking open. Oh my gosh, but the Guardians, they're crash landing on the planet. Things will not end up well there because, again, it's the planet of the symbiotes. They got a bunch of goo, and Null, god of the symbiotes, he's in charge of all that stuff and whatever. So I've got one of my teams here. We got the bad guys, right? We got symbiote-controlled Rocket Raccoon. Oh my goodness. Symbiote Groot. My goodness. Symbiote Storm. All of these are free skins I got, by the way. All of these are fully playable characters. We also have Symbiote Thing of the Fantastic Four. But also of the Fantastic Four, we have Malice and the Maker, the evil versions of those characters. I thought they fit the stage well, showing off a wide variety of fully playable characters that you can utilize in this game. And on my Guardians team, we have Star-Lord, looking nice in his default blue outfit, pretty cool. We have Flora Maiden Mantis, Adam Warlock, Aura farming over here. We have Angela, the secret sister of Thor. This game has some deep-cut characters in it. Human Torch in his future Foundation costume, and Jeff the Land Shark. So I'm going to do a little commentary for you of this matchup I have, the evil villainous versions of these characters led by the Maker and Malice, evil versions of the Fantastic Four members. We also have our Guardians of the Galaxy team. Look at that. Look how much movement. They're all fully playable. Wow, you'd expect that from a Guardians game, right? Immediately comparing this to the Guardians of the Galaxy game, look how much freedom of movement I have with Star-Lord. I have these dodges that also reload my guns, which force me to time my dodges appropriately. I have to reload far more often, which means I can't just hold the button down. I can also do this crazy flipping dash strike, and I can even play as Mantis here. Look at that, Mantis. I mean, I'm just spectating this, but look at Mantis here, healing, damage boosting, trying to knock that person out. I actually did knock out the Maker, but then got knocked out by Symbiote Thing. Human Torch flying around. Just look at this, like all these different Marvel characters with all these different unique abilities on these alien planets. Angela flying in with her shield. So just imagine if this was the case in the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Just all the cool stuff you could do. And she just went flying there. That's not good. Just, you know, it's just I look at a game like this that's free to play, and I love it, and it's great, but I wish that the Guardians of the Galaxy game was able to give me an experience like this. We got Groot here. Oh, popped his ultimate. Adam Warlock popping his ultimate, reviving people. There's just so many different play styles, so many different mechanics at play, compared to something like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was a full-priced game. This is free to play. You have a million different characters, so many unique scenarios, so many unique maps, so many unique abilities. Like Groot could pull everybody together and you can throw bombs and stuff. Adam Warlock can bring people back to life. Jeff the Land Shark here, swallowing everyone up. Now Mr. Fantastic's jumping around, trying to hit everybody. Mantis giving people a damage boost. Oh, there went the thing. Let's see if we can take out Mr. Fantastic here. The Maker, evil Mr. Fantastic. Oh my gosh. Look around. See, like there's actual strategy involved in this. Look, see, he's going to reflect back his thing. Timed my dodge correctly. Conserving my ammo. Hit him with some melee strikes there. Pretty good. And I think I pull out my ultimate here. It's really cool. I'm of course not saying that the Guardians of the Galaxy game should have just been Marvel Rivals, but this is just showing an example of a Marvel video game that shows the possibilities of what a full Guardians of the Galaxy experience could actually be, and why I find the Guardians of the Galaxy official video game to be so disappointing. It's okay if you like this game. There's nothing wrong with that. And of course, there's nothing wrong with me criticizing it heavily either. As much as this game might be fun for its story, art style, music choice, etc., I feel like even the biggest fans of this game can agree with me that it's lacking in severe consequences from the story decisions you choose.
I don't remember falling asleep.
Lacking in your options to explore these planets. Yeah, they're just gonna keep talking. I'm just gonna hold down the button. Boom, there we go. So it explodes and gets some stuff I don't need. Lacking any strong sense of progression or customization, and lacking in mechanical depth in combat, as well as just only having one playable character. It all just makes me wonder exactly what it is that this game is trying to accomplish. If you have story decisions in your game, why not make there be real changes to what happens throughout? If you have all these wonderful planets to check out, why not let people actually check them out? If you have role-playing elements and an upgrade system, why not add more personalization and thought behind what choices to make here too? If you have a game about a whole group of characters, why can't you play as all of them when nearly every other game featuring them allows you to? Especially if this is the Guardians of the Galaxy video game. Of course, I understand that not every game can do everything, nor does it want to. But there are so many half-baked ideas in here. It feels like a good portion of this game was just an afterthought. However good the story might be, doesn't really matter so much in the grand scheme of things, because this isn't a movie, it's not a show, it's not a comic book. This is a video game, alright? This is something that you play. And all of those elements I've talked about throughout this video that are lacking matter in a video game like this. Let me also clarify that I don't think this game is terrible or anything. In fact, as you've been listening to me talk throughout this video, there are plenty of things I liked about it. I just don't find it to be as good as people claim it to be. And that's not to say you're wrong for the same reasons I'm not wrong. Art is subjective, we view it differently, and this is my perspective. At least we're having a conversation about it, right? Given how much people liked it, and you know, it's a game that I wanted to revisit, I wanted to make this video to just talk about how different my opinion is from the norm. And we should also be grateful for what we have, and I agree. But we should also demand the utmost quality from the things that we buy. If we settle for less, they'll keep delivering less. Why do you think Call of Duty and Pokemon are just the same thing every single year with no innovation or significant improvements? Because people keep buying it. And if we don't call things out for not delivering something to its full potential, we'll always have to settle for less. And I don't think this game lives up to its full potential at all. I also know that we should judge things for what they are, not what we wish them to be. But if it is so far away from what it should have been, I think we can talk about that as well. But believe it or not, all of this complaining comes from a place of love at the end of the day. This has the skeletons of a good game, but unfortunately for me, a skeleton just isn't enough. If you're fine with the bare bones experience, then good for you. But unfortunately, my time replaying this game left me with the same empty feeling I had the first time. Nowadays, we got Marvel Rivals scratching that itch, and I think it does a lot of things I wish this game did, or just things that were done in that game, but done better. Now look, I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, but whatever your thoughts are on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, let me know in the comments below. Just because it wasn't for me doesn't mean it wasn't for you, so whatever you like, or who knows, dislikes about the game, just tell me about it in the comments. Be sure to share it with people who might be interested, leave a like to help with engagement, subscribe if you haven't for videos like this and others too, where I'm playing games that I also like and sometimes don't like, and other stuff, you know? And I will see you all next time, but until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.